Hello again, and thanks for joining me here at the Life Kawaii. Today I'm going to be finishing the long-awaited dress, and I have basically already steamed this and put it on my mannequin. Now, two ways that you can do this yourself. If you have a mannequin, I do suggest that you do it that way just because I find that it's quite a bit easier. But if you don't have a mannequin and you still want to bustle your dress like I'm going to, then you'll just have to put it on and do it yourself. So what I have done with my mannequin is I put on the heels that I plan to wear with my dress. And then I adjusted my mannequin so that my shoulders would be very close to the mannequin so that I can pin this as I bustle it as if I were wearing it myself. So this is how I check, because it's hard sometimes if you don't have a really good mirror. I do check in the mirror, but another quick way if you want to do it yourself is to just set something and see how close it is. So I can tell right now the mannequin is a little bit higher than my shoulders, but it's very close, so I'm not worried about it. The next thing that I'm going to do is just turn this around, show you the back, and then I'll start deciding how I want to bustle it. And if you don't know the different kinds of bustles, you can of course look online. There are a few particular ones that I like a lot from the 18th century. The English one, there's another design from Poland. The French did theirs a different way. So it just depends on what you like. And if you don't feel like researching, that's fine too. Just keep pinning until you like where your design is. Okay, so I've grabbed my little pillow here because I don't want to hurt my knees while I'm down here. Now, depending on how you plan to wear your dress, you may want to bustle it just a little bit, or you may want to bustle it quite a bit. I am going to be walking around in New York with mine, and the streets are filthy here, so I plan on bustling mine so that it's completely lifted off the ground. I should say too, just in case any of you used really nice fabric for this dress, keep in mind that some fabrics your pin marks will show, and other fabrics they won't show as much. I did my dress in almost 100% cotton, so I can really put lots of pins in this and it's fine. But if you have silk or taffeta or something like that, I would grab a piece of fabric that you have left over and I would just test it to make sure that if you put pins in, it's not going to leave permanent holes. So find your line, your seam I should say, not your line. And then I am just going to go ahead and put one pin through here because I want to keep my fabrics together. Normally when you're bustling a dress you would have already done some work on the inside so that you could install ties in more easily, but since this dress wasn't designed to be bustled, I'm having to pull my fabrics together so that as I bustle it, it's a little bit easier for me. If you don't understand that, then just grab one of your pieces and look, if you go to bustle it, then you have lining here. So I don't want that to happen, which is why I'm pinning down the seams that I want to bustle so that they're just a little bit easier for me to work with. So I've got three here I want to do. I'm going to do this one, skip this one, and do this one. I've pinned this. I'm going to skip the next one and then do the third one. That is here. Okay. And I'm just pinning those at about halfway down. Now, I would recommend that you start with the back seam first. Why am I wearing my heels down here? Ah, that's better. Okay. This big long one I'm actually going to pin twice. Alright, now, I want mine to be completely off the ground. So I'm just going to start gathering this around and see where I like it. And And make sure when you're bustling, keep in mind you have a zipper back here, so you don't want to get too much into that. Where's my zipper? Right here. Okay, so I can't get too much higher than that. Right here. Now that's off the ground for the most part here. Another design element you might want to play with is whether you want your bustles to line up around your dress or if you want them to be dramatic. So these side ones you can do really different things with. I could do this one up higher like this, and then I could have a bustle like that on both sides. Or I could do something a little bit less dramatic and keep it at about the same level as this one, which I think is probably what I'm going to do. You can also double bustle things if you want. So you could do a second row like this, and then go through that way too. And you could gather like this. Just depends a lot on your personal preference. I'm going to switch sides here. Let me give myself some space. Okay. Another thing you'll want to think about is the shape. So right now if I grab this seam and I just pull up like this and I keep them even, I can kind of keep this sort of square shape that's going on here. But actually, if you take that same seam and instead of taking it straight up, you take it sort of at an angle, you'll get a different kind of fold. So this one I have at the side now. I have it turned sideways on the inside. And this is what that does. It makes a little bit sharper angle. So for now, let me try to mimic what I've got over here on the other side. Okay, so here is just an example of bustling the dress in a very basic way. From here on, you could either continue to bustle and lift this up some more. You could also do a few little hand tacks if you wanted to change the shape of this. I don't want too many bustles in this. I kind of just want to keep it very simple. So let me step back and take a look at this. Okay. You can tell that this side needs to come up and more to the inside a little bit. You can also try different levels. So maybe you keep one high and do another one lower. Let's try this and see what this looks like, just for fun. So there's a lower one. I like this better now, how this is doing sort of a double drape through here. So just keep pinning until you find something that you like. After you have it pinned, you need to try it on because sometimes the way it looks on you is going to be different. For example, I already know since I have a full rear end back here that once I put this on, the mannequin cannot even begin to represent my body type. So this is going to come out and it's going to change the look. And just to show you that real quick, can you see the difference? So that will change how your layers lay as well. So just go ahead and do a first initial pinning of something that you think you're gonna like, and then try it on and see what it looks like. Okay, so this is my bustling so far. I've actually already tacked this one and then this one here. I tried it on after I pinned it and I liked how everything looked, so I was ready to sew it. And this, I don't particularly love the way it looks right now, but whenever I put it on, it did do exactly what I thought it did. It poofed out and then everything laid really nicely. So I'm going to show you how I stitch this one, and I'll bring the camera up close for that. Okay, I think I have this close enough where you can see now. This is my top layer, my pin here, and I am just stitching mine with needle and thread because I have no intention of wearing this dress without it being bustled, so I'm just doing a permanent stitch. If you want something less permanent, you can always sew ribbons to tie together here. Like I said, I just want mine to stay like this, so I'm stitching it by hand. So the first thing I'm going to do is find my seam, which is right here. I'm going to put my needle through there and then go underneath the dress and just pull that through. And then I'm going to lift up all of the fabric so that I can see underneath. And then this is where my seams line up. And then I'm just going to tack this through. So make sure when you're grabbing the part to tack, which is what I'm doing right now, you don't want to go through both layers because the stitching will show. So just go through the lining layer and leave the rest as it is. So just going to run this through the lining. And then I'm going to grab that same seam and then take my needle back through there. Okay? And that's because this part doesn't show. This part's not going to show, so it's fine if I keep stitching into it. I'm going to do a stitch back inside again. Pull the dress back up. And tack it again. Okay. Put it back through. And you can either do all of your stitches like this, or you can do what I do, in which case I usually go through maybe 3 or 4 times because I feel like that's enough to hold the weight. And then I just do a few stitches on the inside. So I'll do this a few more times. Come back through, find where they meet. Do another tack. Okay. Grabbing the fabric again. Okay, and I think that'll be the last time that I go through this top layer here. Okay, now that I've anchored that pretty well, I'm just going to stitch through both of the lining pieces here. Just tack that a few times. Oh, that one feels like maybe I grabbed the outside. There we go. Okay. You always want to make sure you don't grab that top piece so that your stitching doesn't show. And then before I tie this off, I'm just going to check it. Alright, everything looks good here. No stitching is showing. Then I'm just going to do a few knots here. I like to do a lot of knots. I always worry about stitches coming loose. I've yet to sew something where my stitches came loose, but for some reason I always worry about it. It's my own sewing paranoia. So, there we go. And then just to make this a little prettier, even though no one sees it, I like to take my needle back through just the lining, and then I'll grab my scissors and I'll trim this out. Which I forgot to grab them. So here we go. And that just hides the ends of my thread so it looks a little nicer. Okay. Be careful. If you're doing this like I am, don't put a hole in your fabric. Okay. And then the last thing will be to remove the pins. So take this one out, and you can see once you take the pins out that it already has a little bit more bounce to it. I think, did I have one more pin? Yes, I did. Okay, here we go. Let me move my knee pillow. So now what I'll probably do before I wear this is steam it one more time just so it lays a little bit more nicely. You can see I have a nice little multi-bustle here. I'm very happy with it. I think it looks very cute. The side. Okay. And then here's the front. Let me see the front too. Yay! Almost looks like it has a panier beneath it. The other side and back to the back. So let me try this on and let you see what the finished product looks like with the booty poof and everything, and then we will wrap up. Okay, so here's my finished dress. If you can't tell, I am very, very happy with it. I actually like it much better bustled than I did whenever the train was loose. So it feels very light and breezy. The waist stay takes most of the weight of the dress and does successfully put it at the waist, so it still manages to feel very light even though there's a lot of fabric here. So I am very, very happy with it. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, please share it or at least like it or give me a comment or something. Let me know so I feel inspired to keep making these videos. If you have something that you want to see in particular, don't be afraid to ask me for it. And I hope that you make this dress yourself because I am really loving it. I'm going to dinner now and I think I'm just going to wear it out. So, thanks for watching The Life Kawaii. Please subscribe and let me know what those things are that you want to see me sew. Thanks for visiting. See you again next time.